Inside Hilltopper Athletics is brought to you by Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration. Here's your host, Lynn Ullum.
Welcome to Inside Hilltopper Athletics. We're joined on Monday of this week as we're into finals week, and we had to do the schedule a little bit different, but it's conference play time, Coach Cooper, and you've gotten off to a good start, so we'll give you the mic first.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously, we've handled business. We're 3-0 in conference play heading into a really, really big week. And I think we've kind of weathered some storms and evolved quickly here with some of, the hurdles that we've had. And that's the fun part, though, as coaches, as much as sometimes you hate to take losses and you hate to look sloppy in a game and so on. It's where are you at now and how are we finding ways to get better? And I think we're doing a good job of that right now as a team. And that's led by the leadership of our players for sure.
Great opportunity this week facing the two teams that were ranked 1 and 2 in the league coming in the preseason poll. And to be fair, I mean, Charleston and West Virginia State stumbled a little bit coming out of the gates this year, but records don't really mean that much when the two teams from Kanawha County are on the other side of the court.
Yeah, I mean, I think that these games have been highly competitive year in and year out, no matter who's where, no matter who's what, preseason-wise. Records, like you said, do kind of go out. We've got a tough week ahead of us, and we've got two very, very dangerous teams. I mean, you're sitting there with 2 games away, the preseason number 1, and a team that's got 15 to 16 players back, added some pieces, and is one of the most experienced teams in the region. And then you've got the opposite in 2 days where you've got Charleston with a very new look and a team that hasn't played together as much, but a system and a coach that's proven. And they're continually getting better every game. So I'm not taking much stock into the records right now. I'm taking that we're playing Charleston and it's going to be an absolute war on Wednesday, and we got to go do it on the road.
And just playing off of what Coach Ullum said in the introduction, nearly a month into the season, one of only 3 teams left without a loss in the league. Mm-hmm. What are some of the moments that stick out from you here from the first 7 games?
Yeah, I mean, I think that when you look at it, it's been some pieces are there when you start, they're not there now. Some pieces weren't there, they are there now. You're learning to play in different ways. I think the biggest thing that stands out to me is we've had some times where we've had to lean on our defense to win games. And I think that that's something that we haven't had a lot of conversations about over the years on this podcast is, man, you really had to grind it out. And we're looking at a team now that, we've got our marks we want to hit, and I don't want to dive in necessarily into the specifics, but I think we're holding, teams overall through 7 games now to 72 points, which is the best we've been in a long time. And you're talking about playing 2 overtime games in that, and also trying to work in some different players as we grow up early in a year. And I think we're doing some good things there. So I don't know if it's necessarily a moment or a collective, but that's one. I think honestly, as much as I hated the loss opening weekend to Embro, that was good for us. I think we needed to kind of see some adversity and kind of get hit in the mouth against a physical team that came at us, and we grew from that. So I think there's several moments, but I think what we like is that we're seeing a team come together. We're able to play some different ways, and I think now it's us growing up quickly here, especially with the big week ahead.
And talking about playing different ways now, of course, you're known as a 3-point shooting program. Mm-hmm. As we sit here on Monday morning, you're leading the nation in 3-point field goals per game, 3-point field goal attempts, but also you're starting to get some significant offensive production from your post players as well. And
yes.
Just talk a little bit about how important that inside scoring production is to open up opportunities on the perimeter.
I think it just puts people in a position to make choices, and I think with the dynamic we have now and the return of a true post with Reagan, we can kind of play 3 different ways, not even 2 different ways like we were, which is great because it gives us different looks in different games. People have to prepare 3 different ways, but obviously you've got to balance that shooting with making layups and getting touches near the rim. So obviously that stuff is unbelievably crucial. You look across our tenure as a staff, Marissa Brown shifts the narrative, not only because she's an All-American, but she shifts the narrative because you have to make choices on defense. That's the expectation for us now is that we're a team that can play different ways, but we're going to force them to make choices. And I think one thing that's gone unseen is the fact that we're taking better care of the basketball. I think that 3-point attempts that you referenced, maybe we haven't quite got efficiency-wise to where we were last year yet. Hopefully we will. But what we're seeing is that if you take good shots earlier in possessions, you get more shots and the chances of turning it over go down. So that's been something that we harped on early. We talked a lot about through the preseason and gearing up for games, and that's paying dividends for us because we're getting more shots and less turnovers.
Yeah. And bouncing back to Wednesday night, it's your next game up. That's Charleston. You guys have a history of playing some great games when you two get together. And then last year you split two just absolutely crazy games. One in overtime up here, lost down there. What specifically do you think Charleston brings to the table, and what makes the matchup between these two styles so intriguing?
I think it is just a clash of styles. You've got two very different defenses. You've got two very different offenses. And, it's kind of that Reese Davis college football reference there for us that styles make fights. And whoever style, gets to dominate the fight is typically who ends up coming out on top. But they make you earn things in life. And then they make you try to shoot it over the top while still contesting the three pretty darn well. They're physical, and they know how to grind a game out. So it's a team that you never want to play uphill against because they will just set you to the death, and they're going to pick their spots.
Well, let's backtrack quickly and just talk what happened in the past week. So let's start with the game against West Virginia Wesleyan.
Yeah, after the game, kind of felt like we had some moments where, our defense wasn't there and it was causing us to not get much pace. And then looking back at the film, and that's one of the things as coaches we have to do is admit when we're a little bit wrong sometimes. I thought it was just they were very good at killing pace in the game. They stayed on schedule a lot. They ran their stuff. They ran a lot of good stuff, and they do some unique things with their roster. And it was a much improved roster this year as we saw this year. So I think with that, we did what we needed to do to win the game. We didn't make it easy at times, but I thought overall we got better. And then I thought against Davis Nelkins we made a really nice jump, and it was a game that we looked the way we're supposed to be looking, and I think our players felt that way.
You talk about styles makes fights, and looking in that West Virginia Wesleyan game, it was almost like watching them on offense. You're looking at a game from like the year 2000.
Yeah.
Meaning they were so structured, so disciplined in a half-court set. And we said on the air a number of times, they kind of run some good stuff. So,
For sure, yeah.
but again, it's a good experience, wouldn't you say that?
100%.
You have to dig in. You got to be focused. These sets are coming because you're going to see something like that from somebody else.
Right.
Down the road.
That's one of the things that I've commended our league with for several years now as we have merged and have really made a lot of noise regionally and nationally over the last several years in women's basketball. One of the things that's very unique of our league is you have to be prepared to play a lot of different styles of basketball, both offensively and defensively. And some of the other ones in the region, it's similar styles of play. So now we end up in that regional tournament, and all of a sudden, no matter who you matched up against, you can look back on your season and reference, all right, we're playing a set-based team. We better look at Charleston. We better look at West Virginia Wesleyan. All right, we're playing a trapping team. We've got two there. Like, you just are constantly through what we're doing and the different collective of coaches and systems, preparing ourselves without even realizing it for the higher level stuff.
And probably the biggest difference in those two games is you made some impressive runs against Wesleyan, just weren't able to finally put them away.
Right.
On Saturday at Davis and Elkins. You pretty much ended the game.
Yeah, I thought that we came out and we looked really, really good early. And if we're going to start firing on those cylinders and getting stops, getting that thing up and down, it was good for us. They had some adjustments in the second half that I thought benefited them, but we rode it out and we were able to make some crucial shots. And I didn't think there was as much messy in that game either. I thought that game had a flow, and that's the way we wanted it. And in turn, like you said, Wesleyan struggled to put them away. Davis and Elkins, I thought we took care of business.
You did. We reached a milestone in the D&E game with Corinne Thomas. So
Yes.
we don't talk a ton about individuals, but talk about Corinne a little bit.
I'm glad you brought her up, because if not, I was going to. It's a testament to Corinne, and her career's not always been pretty. It's amazing, how much what Corinne's been able to do kind of mirrors what it's been like for our coaching staff. But she's battled injury in her, tenure with us, and you see a player that is an elite leader, an elite player. I know you guys have referenced that she's a Swiss Army knife, and I'm sure she just loves that reference. But it's one of those things that it's special to see a kid like that hit a milestone like that, because she's truly earned it, and it hasn't always been easy. There are playing careers where there's a steady flow and a steady progression, and she has not had that. And I'm really, really proud of her. I'm very grateful for her being a part of this program and her family.
And just for people that may not understand what Coach is talking about, the injury bug has hit her on multiple occasions, and that 1,000 points would have been reached way, way sooner.
There's no
but
doubt.
she just wasn't able to stay healthy, had some bad luck, but we got her where we want her now. Dawn, anything else to add?
No, I think we're good.
Well, we go to Charleston on Wednesday.
Yes.
And just reminding everybody, we return back to the friendly confines of the ASRC on Saturday, but that's a rare evening game on a Saturday. Graduation here, they need time to reset. So we have 5:30 and 7:30 Saturday night against a very, very talented West Virginia State game. So let's just quickly talk about State before we bring Coach Hallett on.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you've got a program that has high expectations of this year, and they're kind of struggling to get into their flow a little bit. But they are unbelievably dangerous, and they are a team that plays a unique brand of basketball, and they're going to come at us. We've had some great games, as we've referenced, so we could really use a great crowd there on Saturday night. It's also the last opportunity on our side to see us at home for a long time. We make the Ohio swing after that, so would love to see everybody get there, enjoy some women's basketball on Saturday night at 5:30, and help give us a bump so we can hopefully go 2-0 this week.
Well, Coach, let's keep the perfect mark in the MEC going. Good luck this week, and we'll catch up with you next Monday with women's basketball with Kyle Cooper. We're going to take a break, and we'll come back with head men's basketball coach Ben Hallett.
Disasters happen. Pick the team that takes care of them all. Powered by offices in Wheeling, Morgantown, and Pittsburgh, Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration is ready to handle any size emergency at a moment's notice. We have the right people, knowledge, and equipment to respond 24 hours a day.
I'm Ben Hallett. When disaster strikes your home or business, tell your insurance provider you prefer the restoration company the Hilltoppers call, Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration.
Inside Hilltopper Athletics is brought to you by Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration. Here's your host, Lynn Ullum.
Welcome back to Inside Hilltopper Athletics. We're now joined by head men's basketball coach Ben Hallett, and you can see there's already some tension between us because we've been arguing football all morning. But, Coach, thanks for joining us. Another good week, things still going well. So let's quickly talk with Saturday's game.
Okay.
Davis and Elkins.
All right. Knew it was going to be a challenge. I think they're playing extremely well, and Coach Mondragon has just done great things since he got there. They were sitting at 5-2, and just they beat Wheeling, a couple days before us, but knew it was going to be tough just because of the players they have, and they've got a bunch of experience, and I think they've got one of the best guards in our conference in Sam Roll, and he's just a really tough cover, and we tried multiple things against him, but I think he controls their whole offense. But we did some uncharacteristic things at the end of the game, but the start of the game I thought was really well, and that was kind of the message going into the game was let's get off to a really good start, and I think we pushed our lead up to 16 or 17 points there in the first half and took our foot off the gas, and like we talked about earlier, took some questionable shots there, early shots there in the first half, and then grinded out a win. And like I told the guys after the game, we needed to play in that type of a game. All of our games have been by 30 points. We won by 30 points, and we needed to play in a close game, and it wasn't pretty, but we got the win, and that's kind of all that matters.
Well, before Dawn starts firing questions at you, just looking to hear your opinion. I'm really opinionated about this, and I'll give you an example. I reference my wife on this show a lot. So she's in Texas. She didn't have a chance to watch the game. And she texts me, what's the score, what's the score? And when it was finally over, her response is, well, geez, what's wrong? Why was it so close? And I tried to explain to her, we're not going to win every game by 38 points. So is that frustrating for you?
Not winning by 38 points?
Well, the expectations maybe that everyone thinks that if we don't blow them out, there's something wrong with
it. This comes with the territory here, right? Like everyone just expects to win by 30 points, and it just doesn't happen, especially because Davis and Elkins is good. They have good players, and they're well coached. And again, like, we needed to play in that type of a game. We can do that kind of stuff in practice where we have, we're scrimmaging against each other and we put the score close and we put a time up on the scoreboard, but it's completely different in a real game. So tell your wife not to panic. Everything's okay. Everything's going to be just fine. And we're sitting at 7-0 right now, so life is good here.
Well, and again, we've alluded to it earlier with Coach Cooper, but what a week for West Liberty basketball fans. Coach, in your instance, you're as you said, 7-0 overall, undefeated in the conference. Going down to Charleston Wednesday night, playing the only other team without a conference loss, sole possession for first place in the conference on the line. And then Saturday night, you come back here and you get an incredibly talented West Virginia State team, and you've had some outstanding games against both those programs over the years. Now, I understand, first week of December, every game's important, but are some games more significant than others?
Yeah, I think this week is more significant than others. And Charleston, they're always up, the top 2 or 3 in our league, and we knew that coming in that's the way it's going to be this year as well. And got really good players. I think Dwayne did a really good job of going into the transfer portal and getting guys from within our league. Like, he got a bunch of players within our league that are good players that had success at the other schools in our conference. And they're just really well coached. They're well schooled. They don't beat themselves. And, we're going to have our hands full. And it's finals week here, so we're traveling the day of and going to play that night, which I personally like that. I don't like going the night before. I like traveling the day of and playing. But it's just a tough week because you got all these other things before, as far as tests and guys being in class and having to study, and then on top of that, you got to go play a basketball game against a really good team on the road at 7:30. So we're not going to make any excuses. It is what it is. We're going to go play, and it's going to be really tough.
And kind of building what Coach was talking about here with the D&E game, on the road, tough opponent. They make a run at you in the second half. First time you guys have really been pushed in the second half all season. How happy were you with the way that down the stretch that you had some different guys come up, rise, meet the challenge, and you were able to close that team out on their floor?
Yeah, and haven't practiced yet today, but I think our older guys need to be better for Wednesday, and I don't think our returners were good at the end of the game, and they know that. Like, I'm just brutally honest with those guys, but I thought a couple of our younger guys actually stepped up and did some really good things for us. And Kyle DiAugustano, I don't know if you remember, hit a couple of key baskets for us there late when they were going on their run, and again, just did some uncharacteristic things for us offensively and defensively towards the end of that game, and just some costly turnovers and some missed defensive assignments that we had. So it's good to play in those type of games and get a win and have mistakes. That way you can go back, and it's much more fun to do it after you win rather than losing and trying to correct those mistakes.
Yeah. And I snuck a peek at the NCAA men's basketball statistics before we came on the air. There's 4 teams in Division II right now that are averaging over 100 points a game. And, of course, the usual suspects, Nova and West Liberty, played a national championship game last year, but a couple other programs with first-year head coaches that are bouncing back from down seasons in Gannon and Coker. And there's a common thread among all 4 teams in that there's a strong West Liberty connection with all 4. And, of course, Coker, Mike Lamberti, his first head coaching job down there has been with you the last few years. And Jordan Fee, that you were on staff with here, and he played here, and now he's up at Gannon. So a lot of the scuttlebutt we've heard over the years is, that's fine, you can score a lot of points and stuff, but you can't really win big games, which I think we've kind of disproved over the years. But those 4 teams right now combined 25-3 record, average at 109 points a game.
Not too bad.
No,
it's pretty good. Yeah.
So how do you guys make that work?
I know you recruit really hard. I know all 4 coaches recruit really hard and got to get good players, but I just think it's a credit to the way we play the game. And all of us have played in this system besides Coach Crutchfield, and he's the one that kind of originated this. And I think those 4 guys, if I'm not mistaken, we're all on a team together. I think Coach Crutchfield and I were coaching, and Jordan and Mike were playing. Yes. So all 4 of those head coaches were on the same team at one point, which that's kind of unusual. So really cool stat, but I think it's a credit to our system and the assistant coaches and obviously the players that we've recruited in the past.
Here, backtracking a little bit more, going back to the West Virginia Wesleyan game, and I'm the one that started this conversation about expectations, and I'm just as guilty as anyone. We're playing West Virginia Wesleyan. We're up 17 at the half. And I had referenced a couple times during the broadcast, geez, we just don't have it tonight. It just has a different feel. We don't have it. And we were up 17 at the half. But you talk about taking a 17-point lead and making it 50 once the Avalanche started.
Yeah, well, I think going back to that game, there was a little bit of rust in the first half, and I'm not making excuses for them, but we did give our guys quite a bit of time off and maybe a little rust there in the first half, but really challenged our guys at halftime, especially we call them our deny guys in our press. They were doing okay, but they weren't doing great, and I wanted them to be great. And once they picked up their level of intensity, and once they picked up their level of heart and grit, whatever you want to call it, our press started generating more turnovers, and we got easier baskets, and we started those mini rallies, and once we did that, the game was kind of out of hand for Wesleyan, and you got a better feeling after the game because we did play such a good second half.
Well, one of the things I think is just so important with our style of play and executing that style of play is everyone gets extended minutes, and you have the luxury of playing different rotations. So
yeah,
talk a little bit about that.
And if you look at our minutes per game this year, it's everyone's that's in the two platoons is right around that 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 minutes per game. And obviously that will change throughout the season. And we have an injury now, which is going to make somebody else play more, which is what an opportunity for that person, right? That's what we talk about. If one man goes down, it's just an opportunity for somebody else to get in the rotation and play. And but feel really comfortable playing, everybody this year. I don't think there's much of a drop off from 1 through 10 this year as the years pass. So that's kind of our mold in the recruiting. Let's just go recruit a whole bunch of really good players, and don't worry about positions, and don't worry about what they can and can't do. Let's just recruit really good players and put them out there, and let's see what they can do.
Well, and I think that's the beauty of it, that you really don't have positions, and you can play different lineups, because we know through the course of a season, you go through games, there's injuries, there's foul trouble, there's a team's playing zone or a team's playing man. And the beauty of this system is everyone's kind of acclimated to play anything that you see. So we go to Charleston on Wednesday. I haven't had a chance to talk to Dwayne. I know when I see him, he feels they're 22-point underdogs. What do you think? How many point underdogs are we?
22.
22. So we're not kidding about that. For the last 3 or 4 years, I've talked to both head coaches before this game, and they both claimed they're 22-point underdogs.
That's right.
But it'll be, as Dawn mentioned, battle of the unbeatens. Let's see who comes out of this in MEC play with that perfect record. Reminding the viewers who may not have tuned into the first segment of this, Saturday is graduation here at West Liberty. The normal afternoon MEC games are now in the evening. West Liberty men's basketball home, West Virginia State, 7:30 Saturday night. Coach, wishing you the best of luck. Let's get a couple more wins, keep my wife happy.
That sounds good. Thanks for having me on here.
That wraps up this week's edition Inside Hilltopper Athletics, and we'll be joining you on next Monday.
Disasters happen. Pick the team that takes care of them all. Powered by offices in Wheeling, Morgantown, and Pittsburgh, Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration is ready to handle any size emergency at a moment's notice. We have the right people, knowledge, and equipment to respond 24 hours a day.
I'm Ben Hallett. When disaster strikes your home or business, tell your insurance provider you prefer the restoration company the Hilltoppers call, Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration.
My name is Hannah Salonica. I'm a senior in the psychology program here at West Liberty University, and I'm going to take you on my day. First today we're going to go into biological psych with Dr. Fletcher.
We are going to be doing our Play-Doh activity with the eye. So we're going to create an eye out of Play-Doh, and assignment part 1 will be due the end of the day today.
The psychology program here at West Liberty University is really amazing. The courses are set up really in a way that you build a strong foundation before you move on to some upper level classes. Some of those can be like biological psych and clinical psychology. So we really do work on getting those transferable skills before we move on to the more like harder classes. So psychology is really a flexible and applicable major that we can use to do so many different things. You don't even have to stay in the field of psychology. I know a lot of people can use these skills to transfer over into different social work careers, even things like criminal justice. And going to grad school really just opens up those opportunities. For me, I really want to go into school psych, but a lot of people in my cohort like the clinical psychology route, where you really focus on assessments and the therapy setting. And our school here at West Liberty has a grad program where you get your master's in clinical psychology, and when you graduate you get to actually work as a licensed doctoral level psychologist in the state of West Virginia. So today we're heading back into biopsych, where we're actually going to be dissecting cow eyes today.
Part 2, we're going to walk through most of the questions in class, but then you will still turn in the document online. The nice thing about the cow eye is it's really big, so it's a lot easier to see these different structures.
Biopsychology is a very fun and challenging class. It's super interesting, and we're learning a lot about different anatomy, not only with the cow eye but also with the brain. And we did do a Play-Doh dissection before we moved on to an actual cow eye dissection, so we were able to use those skills on the Play-Doh and then transfer them over to the actual anatomy dissection. And this really connects because there's a lot of malfunctions and different disorders, not only with the eye but also with the brain. So being able to identify those specific parts, we're able to use that to then learn about the different disorders that are affected in those areas. So when you're a senior, you go through a practicum experience, which is a internship of about 100 hours, as well as some classwork that adds up to like 35 hours. I decided to do my internship at the School of Bright Promise, where I get to work with a BCBA, which is a board certified behavioral analyst, and I'm on her behavior management team, where we work on responding to different crisis behaviors with the children. But it really is awesome because I get to work with kids. This is something that I want to do with my school psych masters that I want to get, and it also helps just really prep for the future and get hands-on experience of applying these psychological principles we're learning in class and applying them into the real world. So today we're heading to canine cognition with Nessie.
Timing has to do with the conditioned stimulus being presented, and it needs to happen before or at the point that the behavior is occurring.
So one of our special topics class is the canine cognition one. This is actually a new class we just added that students can take for a psych elective, and we really go into a lot of the biological functions of a dog from their birth up until their adult life, and we're also learning different skills like training skills, as well as some first aid that we can actually use on our own dogs. So it's a really fun class. So we're heading into the psychology lounge to do a quick meeting. So the psychology club here is really a place that you and your cohort and other cohorts can kind of come together, and we do different things like study groups. We do some fundraisers like our chocolate rats in the fall, and we also have different trips that we take, like going to the trans lunatic asylum. We did that this year. That was really awesome. And then also we were planning on going to the psychology museum in Akron. Thanks for checking out the program with me. For more information, visit our website.
From humble beginnings in 1837, West Liberty University has been home to thousands of students. Whether you're a recent high school graduate or looking to complete a college degree later in life, starting your educational career at West Liberty University will be the catalyst for your future. This is a place where you will discover who you are and where you belong, surrounded by lifelong friends and a supportive faculty and staff. Start your journey home at westliberty.edu.